All right, and Ms. Gertis, you are the plaintiff. You get to go first. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. In September of 2024, and this is Exhibit 1, I purchased a working service dog named Isla. She was a breeding dog by Craftwork, and I purchased her so that we could give her a home. She bonded with my children, myself, and our other dog. In around April of 25, so just a few months after that, she started to have some mobility issues. I took her to the vet, and I've included vet bills as Exhibit 3. There's 2 diagnosing vet bills. The vets suspected it was a very common disease called degenerative myelopathy. I then did genetic testing. The genetic testing is a slow process. It took weeks to get the results back. And Craftworks website, and this is in the letter note that I wrote to them, notes that they're a world-class breeder, that they have ethical breeding. It just talks all about their dogs, all about their history, all about many different things about this. And so in, I believe it was July of 25, and this is exhibits. This is Exhibit 5. I wrote a letter to Craftwork requesting a refund of the purchase price of the dog, because her life was being completely cut short. And what was happening is she started to drag her back legs, and then I purchased shoes for the dog, and so that she would not have sores, and then the sores would become bloody. And it got to the point where this DM disease starts to paralyze the back legs of the dog. It moves up into the stomach. It would eventually get to the point of breathing. It would paralyze breathing. It got so bad that she was dragging through the shoes. Her feet were all bloody, and unfortunately we had to euthanize her. Her life was completely cut short. We had her for only just barely over a year, and we expected her to live till age 12, 14. The dogs are advertised as having longevity for life, and I had to unfortunately euthanize her. I'm asking for the award of $10,000. My expenses for her have exceeded that, and I have tried to resolve this by writing a letter to Craftwork, Mr. Curry, for Isla. I've reached out to multiple experts who work in the dog industry, specializing in German Shepherds and training and breeding. Craftwork should have either known that the dog had this disease, or they knew and they didn't disclose it. Being that she was a breeding dog by Craftwork, there were multiple litters that were bred, and so this information should have been tested for, and it was not possible to get this information back in a short period of time.
Okay.
And I'm not asking for another dog because I just I just don't want to go through this again. I just don't trust the health of the dog. And it would have a considerable cost to me. I'm not asking for all the time that I invested in integrating the dog into my family, training the dog to my kids, my other dog, just any of that at this point. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, then Mr. Curry, I'll hear Craftwork side of it.
Can I ask, did we get our paperwork submitted? Did it get to the court?
Craftworks paperwork.
Yeah, a few days ago, I had the purchase
Uh,
agreement and all that stuff sent there. I want to make sure it's there.
there is, yeah,
Good, good, good.
the
Okay.
purchase agreement and uh, yep, the purchase agreement is here in the exhibits.
In my exhibits, Your Honor?
Mhm. Yep,
Okay.
I have
But
the,
Mr. Curry's information, is that existing? I didn't see it when I looked.
no, well, I mean, Mr. Curry, the purchase agreement that you're referring to is here in the exhibits. It looks like it was submitted by Ms. Curtis, but it's here. It's been
Okay.
submitted.
Good. It the reason I asked is we've had it a long time, and I always have to go by the terms of the agreement. You know, it's very specific. If there's anything wrong with the dog, first 3 days, send it back. Anything communicable, whatever it is, 10 days. And, things can happen to dogs, but I always have to go by the purchase agreement. That's what we do. She agreed to it, she signed it. The dog that she got came directly from Germany with the highest credentials for breeding. There's what's called a breed survey. Her breed survey recommends her for breeding, but she did buy the dog where she was retired for breeding. We have no knowledge um, about this DM thing. And so, yeah, all I know is that we need to go by the terms of the agreement.
All right, thank you, Mr. Curry.
Yes.
All right, yeah, and as I said, I did review the exhibits that were submitted in this case. And I told you at the beginning that I had questions, and I do want to ask a couple of them. And one of them is, how old was the dog at the time she was purchased?
Her birth date should be right here.
I believe age 7.
That sounds about
About,
right.
Yeah, I believe age 7.
gotcha. All right. So what we have here is a contract case. And I mean, it doesn't sound like there are any real factual disputes. I mean, the dog was purchased in September 2024. There was an agreed upon purchase price. The dog was transferred and delivered to the purchaser. There doesn't seem to be any dispute about that. The only dispute here centers around the dog's, I should back up a second, but there is apparently no dispute as to the dog having a health issue, and that ultimately, as a result of that health issue, the dog had to be put down. The real sort of issue centers around whether the dog as delivered is as specified in the written agreement here. So in the written agreement, what I see that I think is important is that there's the only warranty with regard to the dog's health appears to be the warranty regarding the hip dysplasia issue, which is not an issue here. I think that's important for a couple of reasons. One being that generally speaking, the inclusion of one thing is also the exclusion of other things of the same type. So by reading this and seeing a warranty with regard to hip dysplasia, my inference based on the law is that there are no other warranties, just the one about hip dysplasia. That moving on, though, in the contract, there are, under the section regarding a buyer's remedies, there is I guess, a addendum to that earlier warranty, which is that the buyer has certain rights with regard to returning the dog if certain issues develop within kind of a limited time window. And those appear related to general health. And the other part of that strikes me is the buyer being encouraged to have the dog examined by a qualified veterinarian, which in my view would be the kind of thing that might reveal things like a genetic defect that a dog may be subject to just based on its own particular genetic profile. I don't know if that was done here or not, but
Yes, it was done.
That remedy, the remedy apparently did not, the remedy as contemplated in paragraph 2 did not occur. So now we get to the part about the case, which is that, you know, I don't know what the industry standard is in transactions regarding dogs. So what I have to go on is what's been presented here. Most of what's been presented here is in the context of the contract for the sale of the dog. Is it industry standard to have a dog pre-screened for a list of genetic conditions prior to the dog being marketed and sold? There's no evidence of that. So I can't assume that there is. The plaintiff would be required to meet a burden of proof there to demonstrate that, and that has not been done here. So unfortunately, the dog was sold and the representations regarding the dog's health appear to have been complied with, and the exclusions contained in the contract are applicable. And so applying them, the fact that the dog did have a genetic condition that led to this degenerative condition and ultimately to the dog's demise, you know, it's unfortunate for sure. It's not the responsibility of the defendant under the terms and conditions of this contract. So essentially, Ms. Gertis, you've not carried your burden of proof here, or demonstrated that you're entitled to recovery under the conditions specified in the contract. So I'm going to enter judgment in favor of Craftwork Canine.
Your Honor, may I draw your attention to an exhibit?
I've made the decision in the case. All right, I've entered judgment as indicated in favor of the defendant Craftwork Canine. That judgment is being filed with the court clerk, and it is available to both parties at any time. All right, that will conclude this case for today.
Thank you.
Okay, they still working?
We have one case that's just come out.